Yo, 548 back at it again, reacting to I'm a Sociopath, Ask Me Anything. I'm Liam.
I'm Kai.
Got a special guest today, Molly, in
Honoured.
the building.
So happy to be here.
This one's going to be interesting. Jubilee. They make a bunch of trash videos, allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because I don't want to get sued by them. But yeah, let's get into this and see how nutty this sociopath is.
Enjoy the video.
Like and subscribe. Right, here we are. I'm a Sociopath, Jubilee. Let's see what we got for ourselves. Quickly, do not send any hate to Jubilee. I know you want to. Don't do it.
How can I know that you're...
He's a sociopath.
Got on the right.
Yeah, I think so.
It's got to be. He's got a
Imagine
clipboard.
it's him and he's just a dark horse.
I think he is from the get-go, just hearing his voice.
being honest with me, and did you lie to any of us?
I don't think I've lied to anybody. I guess I could be lying to you.
If you were alone in a room with a diagnosed sociopath, what would you ask?
That's a sticky one. You can't technically diagnose a sociopath or a psychopath because it's a group of behaviours together. So you can't actually like fully diagnose it. So again, that's a little bit inaccurate.
Have you ever been in love?
What does empathy look like for you? Have you ever felt guilt?
That's a complicated question.
It's like Jesse
How you doing?
from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he does. He was a sociopath as well, wasn't he?
Oh, I mean, no, Jesse's got a good heart.
I've actually
mate.
never watched it. My bad. I'm just pretending that I know what I'm talking about.
Pretty good.
Okay, that's good.
What's your name?
Greg.
All right, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Greg is a sociopath now.
Based on his name.
What age were you diagnosed?
I think I was around 21, 22.
How old are you?
I was about to say, if he was like 6 years old when they diagnosed him as a sociopath, chat to the parents, don't be chatting to him.
I am 33.
What's your definition of a sociopath?
A sociopath to me is someone who has no regard for themselves or for other people. You're very impulsive, very irresponsible, reckless, basically like a child.
Were you surprised when you got diagnosed?
I don't think surprised is the right word. I think relieved. Like I had felt
Well, relieved because he's got an excuse now. Yeah. Oh, well, now I'm justified of all the terrible things I do.
out of control, and I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing for a long time. So knowing that there
He's
was
got crazy eyes. He definitely killed animals as a child.
Yes. It's just got that whole, like, Sid off Toy Story look.
Just the black tea as well.
Yeah, it just don't look right.
actual reason behind why I was doing these things, it was really like kind of freeing in a way.
What made you think you was a sociopath?
Waking up in prison was probably my first clue.
Does that like imply there was a blackout and then he just woke up?
Oh, God, why am I in prison?
It's like Moon Knight, mate.
Made you think you was a sociopath?
Waking up in prison was probably my first clue.
Do you mind me asking what led you to go to prison?
I've committed several crimes. I was using drugs and selling to support my habit. I also have many like retail thefts.
How long ago did you commit those crimes?
The last time I committed any crimes was 2011.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, yesterday. I stole
Your
some of
bags
the
are empty.
I stole some of the mic equipment off the Jubilee team.
The copper wiring is mine.
Those crimes.
The last time I committed any crimes was 2011.
And then you haven't committed any crimes since then?
I wouldn't say I haven't committed any crimes. I haven't committed any major crimes since then. Actually, I don't even drive record.
What does a sociopath define as a major crime?
Well, they probably don't have a definition for
That's
a
what I
major
mean. If they're impulsive, all of these other behavioural traits, what do they class as a real crime? They're like, oh, I didn't murder anyone, so that's not a real crime. Like,
Mostly anymore like I used to. I stopped stealing. And now that I say it, I don't know if I've been doing crimes.
He terrifies
I think I
me.
changed.
He's horrible,
just
isn't he?
weird.
Well, he's not horrible. He's probably a nice guy.
Oh, yes.
I don't
Wake up
know.
in prison.
It's just
Screams
sat there like
at
this.
me.
I can't make any judgments fully from what we've seen, but he seems like there's a lot of justifying going on. It seems like he's just sort of like, oh, I did this, but it's because of my thing. Whereas there's like countless people out there who've got a bunch of things against them that still manage to do well.
Yeah, it sounds like he's just trying to be a victim of life just to make people feel bad for him for the horrible things he's done.
Literally.
Change
Oh god.
my ways.
What made you make the decision to change your life?
Not wanting to go back to prison, it was one of the worst experiences of my life.
That's not surprising.
Because it's other sociopaths.
Yeah.
That's why. He's like, oh, I'm not the only main character in my film anymore.
What do you think people most often misunderstand about being a sociopath?
Personally, I think that the stereotype is that they're incredibly violent and just malicious just to be mean and like just for its own sake. At least for me, that's not how it presents. More often than not, people with antisocial personality disorder or sociopaths, they're just irresponsible, impulsive people. That can lead to you being a little bit aggressive and irritable, but the myth that they're violent and just out of control monsters is blown way out of proportion.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever manipulated someone to benefit you?
Yeah, of course. I feel like
That's why I'm here. That's the whole premise of this video.
I'm trying to get clout tokens off this video.
everyone manipulates other people to an extent. We're all trying to get something out of.
I don't know if I like her earrings or not. They're kind of cool.
Oh, we comment on their outfits as well, because I've got lots of comments.
Oh,
Because they're like,
Specifically.
no hate.
you see, it's like a UFO abducting a cow.
Obviously no hate.
Any given relationship.
You see it? It's literally a
Oh my
little
god, no, it's a UFO.
And there's a cow abducting it.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't really thought of it that way. For me, it's more like mutual respect and wanting to do others for people to make them feel better.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I look at all of my relationships as very transactional, and
I hate to say it, it's not as a cold thing, not as cold as he's putting it, but life is kind of transactional. It's
Yeah.
not like, it's just sociopaths take it to a whole nother level. Like, you can still recognise it as transactional and not be a complete nutcase about it. But it is, like, to a certain degree, even with your own family members, like, it's the same thing.
I see what you mean. I look at all of my relationships as very transactional, and it's just kind of the way that I engage with the world.
What are some things that piss you off?
When people can't admit they're wrong or made a mistake, that drives me absolutely crazy. And I think that's just because I used to do that same thing. I used to not ever admit that
That's very
Fair enough.
introspective.
Fair
yeah,
enough.
that is fair enough.
I was wrong.
Am I warming to a sociopath?
I know.
You are.
I quite like Greg now. What's
Oh
going on?
no.
What does empathy look like for you, if you have empathy at all?
So I call it cognitive empathy. It's just me making sure that I put myself in someone else's shoes, like intentionally. My first response in any given situation is never empathy. It's usually some like logical like solution to the problem, when a lot of the times that's not what people need. They need you to listen and just be there for them.
Have you ever felt guilt or remorse? Is that something that you feel?
That's a complicated question. So at the time,
Is it?
I kind of feel like, I don't know.
If you
It might be
understand
cool.
what the emotion feels like though, then you can't say yes.
No, of course, but it is yes or no. You'd be like no to a certain degree.
Guess so.
But I mean,
I think he does feel things.
I want to know the reason though,
Mm.
because sociopaths tend to be made.
Yeah.
So you're like, I want to know the reason on why he's like
Childhood
this.
trauma.
Yeah, let's get deep into that, mate.
Is that something that you feel?
that's a complicated question. So at the time, I didn't feel bad about anything that I did. I really didn't have a care in the world. Once I move on from it, like in my head, it's over to me, which isn't great when you cheated on your partner and then they don't forget about that.
Yeah.
But I would. I regret it now because I don't like that I put people through that, and I don't like that I hurt them. But that's now. That wasn't then.
I kind of feel he's a recovering sociopath. They should
Yeah.
put that in because it feels like
Well,
he's
he said
understood.
21, didn't he?
Yeah,
That's
so
what
it's
I mean.
been a very long time, and
He's
he's not done a
quite late.
crime since 2011. So I do feel like he's figuring out what he's done wrong and
Well,
trying to change it.
it's very similar to. I found this out the other day. So from the thing of people basically not being able to analyze whether people are sociopaths or psychopaths, it's more because they can't do it before they're 18 because kids are lunatics.
Yeah.
Like they have borderline no emotion sometimes. Like some kids don't care and they do crazy stuff just because they're kids. So it's harder to judge whether they're a psychopath or sociopath based on their actions when they're a younger person. And I think that's why he got diagnosed at 2021 because they legally, a lot of people don't do it because it's very difficult to. There's some cases where you can really understand. Like there was that Indian serial killer, like he was like 6 or 7 years old. So at that point you can say you're a psychopath.
When he was a serial killer?
Yeah.
Oh, like Mary Bell in England.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, so like just those ones you can confidently say it, can't you? Because we've got case study to go by. But if no one's done any crazy actions like actually like killing someone, then realistically, how do you know it's not? Because I was a lunatic when I was a kid. Like if I think about it now, I had zero compassion as a child. So I'm thinking like it's quite hard to analyze it.
Yeah.
But I regret it now because I don't like that I put people through that and I don't like that I hurt them. But that's now. That wasn't then.
I wanted to ask you what your childhood was like.
Part of the problem is, like, I don't store memories very well, so I don't necessarily remember much of my childhood.
That's like a
trauma.
side effect, yeah, trauma.
I think it would, yeah, you're right. And I think it's also, if you're a person that doesn't care, you tend to store memories based on emotion and how much emotion you felt in that second. He's obviously not feeling a lot of it, so it's just going to disappear.
Is that a condition associated with being a sociopath?
From what I've gathered, memory is tied to emotion fairly strongly. The way that I experience emotions is not quite as deep as other people, so the emotional tie to like memories that makes them stick in your brain doesn't really happen for me that often.
Did you tell your parents about your diagnosis right away?
No, actually I didn't. I've only actually mentioned it to...
They would have known anyway. They'd be like, oh, now it's just got a label.
Yeah.
We already knew he was a sociopath.
We caused it.
Way?
No, actually I didn't. I've only actually mentioned it to my parents one time. When I told them, they didn't believe me. They're like, that's not the Greg I knew. And I guess it just speaks to how fooled I had them. They just didn't believe that I was capable of those things.
Have you ever been in love? And do you feel love?
I think so. Like, I do experience emotions and love and connection and closeness. It's just maybe not to the depth or like breadth of some other people.
Who would you say is your favorite person in your life right now?
Probably my son, followed very shortly after that by my partner.
Do you think that's what's put him into that recovery phase?
I think so. And he said his partner as well.
Yeah.
He's one of the main reasons that I've gotten better.
And your diagnosis hasn't affected your parenting in any way?
Wanting to be the best dad I can for him is like a huge motivating factor for me.
Oh, I didn't know sociopaths could get better. I thought it was just a lifelong medical condition you have to live with.
So what he like said is what most of them say. So most of them tend to say like, if you recognize I don't feel that, I don't process emotions in this way, that cognitive empathy thing that he's talking about is what they have to put into place to live a normal life. So like you have to basically recognize when it's like learning a handbook as an alien of how humans work.
How you should feel in this situation.
So at this point, I should be emotionful,
kind of makes sense.
And compassionate. So you can train emotion, but they'll never fully comprehend it because their brain's not wired in their way. There's loads of parts of your brain that control all of that stuff. I think it's called, I can't pronounce it. I think it's called like the amygdala, something like that. And that's really shrunken in sociopaths and psychopaths. It tends to actually like physically shrink in size.
I feel like we learn our emotions through what we go through day to day, but obviously he's, like you say, it's like a handbook, isn't it? He has to learn what it is and...
Mad stressful. Yeah. That must be mad stressful.
I don't want him to live the same life I've lived. There's a huge genetic component to sociopathy, and the other half of that is your environment. So I have to do everything I can with his environment to overcome his genetics.
How did you feel when you first met your wife?
It's always been her, even though there was a period of time where I was really not a good boyfriend. I was not a good partner. I don't deserve to still have her, but she stuck it out and knew that there was a person inside of that version of Greg that was better.
Do you go to therapy?
I have gone to therapy in the past. At the time I was in prison, I did have what's called a therapeutic community, and they do cognitive behavioral therapy. And when I left prison, I didn't continue. Nowadays, it's more like self-led. Like I do self-exploration, and with my partner, we kind of explore it. If something happens, she'll gently let me know. It feels like an accusation, like you're doing something wrong. I'll shut down. I don't like being told what to do. So a lot of the times, I don't know, I require gentle guidance.
Is that you saying that you think like you've...
Am I the only one here sitting thinking I've had an ex with this behaviour? I'm sat here like, this sounds so familiar.
You've
the
probably
stuff
met
he's
so
saying.
many sociopaths in your life.
Think about how many we probably have. Oh dear.
I don't know, I require gentle guidance.
Is that you saying that you think like you've learned how to cope with being a sociopath?
So the way I look at it is that I've learned how to not destroy my life by accident. I can manage to stop those thoughts and impulses before they lead to actions.
How can I know that you're being honest with me, and did you
That's
lie
what I
to
was
any of
thinking.
us?
That's an important question.
Because everything he's... I mean, do you feel personally that he's being genuine?
Yes, but that's the whole point of manipulation.
No, of
So
course, but in
like-
terms of his end goal of what he would manipulate to, like
So
the
he wouldn't really
purpose.
gain anything, would he?
He would. And there's not a lot. In terms of the overall video, there is a lot. But you think if he was into that kind of thing, his stories would be much more drastic, wouldn't they? They would be like romanticized and fantasized. They would have a bunch of like crazy stuff happening in, where he's talking about pretty basic stuff like, I've got a kid now, I need to bring up that kid.
Yeah.
It's not... Those kind of things don't scream to me that you're trying to paint this amazing like picture for clout.
He
Basically,
just sound like he wants to do better.
he might be really good though. He might be.
Yeah,
As you
that's
say,
what I was thinking.
if
In
he's
two
like
minds.
unbelievably good manipulator,
That's terrifying.
He is though,
if it
because I'm
was.
actually warming up to the guy.
Yeah, I know.
I know. It's
I actually
bad.
like Greg. At first, I was like, this must.
I feel wrong.
Why are you doing this to me, Greg?
I don't think I've lied.
In reality as well, it's probably a scale, isn't it? Because it's loads of behavioural points. A lot of sociopaths and psychopaths aren't going to have every single one of them. And when you have every single one of them, you end up like Ted Bundy, Dharma, all of these other people, because they have a mixture of impulse, lack of empathy, all of the stuff, the tick box, basically, to go through. Whereas I think he's probably got a few of them. He's got a few of probably the more obvious ones. So people are like, on the get-go, they look at him and say, you are directly, I can tell you're a sociopath. But because he hasn't got all of them, maybe he's managed to go through life a little bit better. I mean, the fact that he's ended up in prison is that's usually what happens to sociopaths.
By accident.
Yeah, because they're impulsive, like beyond belief, whereas psychopaths tend to be more cohesive thought process. They know that they are bad, but they don't care. So they're like, I'm going to plan everything around what I can avoid and manipulate people by, whereas sociopaths tend to be impulsive and like act on emotion or lack of understanding and emotion.
Oh, that you're being honest with me, and did you lie to any of us?
I don't think I've lied to anybody. I guess I could be lying to you, but it doesn't...
That's a bit of a weird statement.
Maybe he just doesn't know.
How could you not know if you're lying? Is it yes or no?
But he is a
I don't know.
sociopath, isn't he? So
he might not
doesn't mean it's
understand what lying is. To
Is
him.
that, is that what it is? To be a
I mean,
sociopath?
I don't think it's that. It might be. It might be.
No, because he knows that he manipulates people, so that means he knows he's lying about it to be able to manipulate them. Because otherwise it'd just be speaking.
But then again, wouldn't a sociopath just be like, yeah, I'm lying?
There is one. There's this like black kid that's on this video with this channel. I've forgotten the name of the channel, but I'll put a link to it in below. And he speaks with a lot of people that are like, they have a lot of disabilities. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like Read Books for Special Children, the YouTube channel's called. And he speaks to a lot of people on that. And one of them, he speaks to a really young sociopath. And he is much more what you would think a sociopath. He's like, I've tried to manipulate you at least a few times in this video, and just tells him outright. So you're like,
Oh, that's terrifying.
might have to do that as a part 2. Let us know if you want that one.
Serve me to lie to you, or to most people. I'm here to like share my actual lived experience. I'm not gonna lie to you about it.
And if you'd like this chance to meet a...
This reminds me of like Wish.com, Michael Cera. Michael Cera, off Juno. Super bad.
Oh, out of Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The face, it's the moment to do it.
I would not lie to me face to face. Oh, there you go.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I didn't even realise the curtain.
Yeah,
That-
did you just see that?
Mate, the angle for me, for some reason, I just couldn't tell there was even a curtain between them.
I like it because then it's just full interview. It's no like prejudged conceptions of people by the way they look.
Yeah.
Because he does look a bit like a sociopath.
You can tell,
as soon
like,
as you say
literally,
he's a
if you
sociopath.
run it, hopefully he meets all of them.
Yeah. Let's have a little look.
Hi! Sorry.
You're good.
Nice to meet you.
Don't hug me.
Hey,
Greg.
Nathan. Nice to meet you, Greg.
Likewise.
I'm trying to put a face to you, so that's cool.
It's a pretty face.
It is.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Conversation. Nailed it.
I've got a pretty face.
The mask is falling.
It's like, I can't keep it up anymore.
Those are great questions.
Tell by
Thank
his
you.
eye contact as well.
Yeah, true, yeah. He's not...
I love how no one moves at any past the curtain than that.
Yeah,
They're
I mean, the
Yeah, they're
first
kind of
guy,
like,
They're
hi.
safe.
the first girl gave him a hug, but yeah, he seems very like distant. Right. Well, there you go.
That was really good.
Oh, I mean, would you be in a Jubilee video?
Yeah.
Are you a sociopath?
I don't think I'd be on that, to be
You'd be the
honest.
subject.
But yeah, interesting video.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I quite
Very
liked it
interesting
now.
video. Yeah, I've been Liam,
Kai,
Molly.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe.
notification bell. Get clicking.
These sociopaths going to be on you if you don't start clicking this.